Okay, hello people of YouTube, welcome back to part 2 of the One Piece Saga review. And today's saga, we're going to be taking a look at the Alabasta arc, or saga. So, without any further delay, let's get on with the show. I know it's been long, but now it's here. So, part 2. So, at the beginning of part 2 of the One Piece Saga, or the Alabasta Saga, part 1, beginning, Luffy comes from Reverse Mountain, and I already explained this in the last video. Basically, Reverse Mountain is basically what they take to go to the Grand Line. I already explained it, so if you want to hear full detail explaining about the world of One Piece, then go ahead and watch the last video. So there's basically no need for me to explain. But, or if you've already seen One Piece, then you obviously know what the layout is. So, was there even need to explain? So they take Reverse Mountain to the Grand Line when they meet a huge giant whale. And the whale's name is Laboon. So keep that whale in mind because that'll be in a little saga we'll be going to later on in the future. But right now we're just talking about Alabasta. So you see this huge whale and they get eaten by the whale, and then inside the whale you get to meet sort of like the welcome guy to the Grand Line, like welcome to the Grand Line guy. So then, inside Laboon, you also had, I forgot her code name. I think it was Miss Wednesday and Mr. I think 7. I think it was. Don't get me wrong. They're just code names. So they find these characters. And they basically belong to an organization that we'll get into once we reach Whiskey Peak. Which I'm about to get to right now. So they leave Laboon, the huge whale, and Luffy actually makes a promise to him that they had a little fight because his Laboon's crewmates never came back from the Grand Line. He's been waiting 20 years for his crewmates. So yeah, we'll get into more detail about Laboon and his little saga with Brook, which is one of Luffy's crewmates, but we'll get into that later. So they leave Laboon. Luffy makes a promise to Laboon that they will meet again and they will continue the fight that they usually had. And so they leave. And so Luffy coincidentally took Miss Wednesday and Mr. 6, I think. I forgot the fucking guy's code name. You only see him like once throughout the anime. You only see him once. So the Going Merry, which basically their ship, I forgot to explain. But basically, just to clarify that little thing, at the end of Usopp's arc, they get a ship called the Going Merry. And something sad happens to it in the next arc, in the next saga. But we'll get to that later. So they leave. So they leave Laboon, and Miss Wednesday and Mr. What's His Face decides to, come aboard the Going Merry, and so they go to Whiskey Peak, which is basically like a pirate, sort of like a pirate's paradise. But then what happened was that they were basically almost swindled because Luffy's crew. Like, they go to Whiskey Peak, they have a grand old time, but then they got completely screwed the fuck over because because the guys who were, they were almost about to kill him, and Zoro was apparently the only one that was still awake, and Zoro goes into full explanation, say, this is the organization, a huge criminal organization called Baroque Works. So, they go into full detail about, like, their numbers and what the numbers mean and what these misweens, but whatever. So Zoro fights off these enemies, then Luffy wakes up and Luffy's all fat because he ate too much, and Luffy loves meat and he loves to eat. So, and because Luffy is so stupid, Luffy and Zoro have a huge fight over something so stupid. To cause a huge fight, so then they fought each other, which is really funny. I really enjoyed that little fight between Luffy and Zoro. But what ends up happening was that you find out that Miss Wednesday, later on, you find out that Miss Wednesday is a princess. She's a princess of the hometown, or the home country of Alabasta. So, or Arabasta. Arabasta, I don't know how to say it. But I'm calling it Alabasta. So, Alabasta is this country that's going through a huge war. We'll get into that, we'll get into that right now. Alabasta is going through this huge civil war between the rebel army and the kingdom, and in between them, you have Barak Works, which is their head guy. The main leader was coincidentally his name is Mr. Zero, aka Crocodile, aka Ashibukai. Ashibukai is one of the 7 deadly warlords of the Grand Line, sort of like Hawkeye, Mihawk that you meet in the Baratier arc, and he's a Shibukai. Crocodile's a Shibukai, and he ate the sand devil fruit. He's a Sandman, and he's a Logia type devil fruit, and he's basically shooting the guns. He's basically the head of operation with Barak Works, and so it's up to Luffy and his gang to help Vivi, because Vivi actually asks that, can I travel on a ship to take me to Alabasta so I can defend my country? And they say, yeah, sure, why not? And Luffy's like, yeah, sure, okay. So, then they go to Little Garden, and they have a little fiasco there, and then, after Little Garden, Nami gets sick. And, so Nami gets sick, and, Vivi's like, we have to stop. I can't live with myself if one of your crewmates is being sick right in front of me. So they decide to go to this winter island. I already explained this. And the Grand Line, there's different climates. They have a winter island, a spring island, a fall island, a spring island. So they go to this winter island where they meet the next crewmate of Luffy's crew called Chopper. And Chopper is one of my favorite crewmates. You know, you can call him cute and funny, but he'll, call you an asshole, but in a very pleased tone. I really enjoy Chopper, and his past is pretty sad. So then, after that little fiasco, Nami gets cured, okay, and Chopper joins the crew. So Chopper joins the crew, and they finally travels to Alabasta. So, and when Alabasta comes out, that's when the huge war between the rebel army and the kingdom starts to attack. And who's shooting the guns? And who's basically the head of operations? Crocodile. Crocodile basically wants to seize control. Not really seize control, but he wants to find an ancient weapon called Pluton, which is basically you get to meet the interesting Nico Robin, and she's definitely one of my favorite characters, and I'll go through her past in the next saga. But you meet Nico Robin, and towards the end of the anime, or the end of the saga, she joins the crew. But Luffy defeats Crocodile, and I don't want to go into full detail, but Luffy defeats Crocodile, like I said it like 3 times in a row. He defeats Crocodile, the kingdom is saved, all thanks to Luffy, but the Marines obviously know that Luffy's in on it with the Rebel Army, or with the kingdom, or with the Marines and stuff, but they decide to help them anyway. They harbored pirates, they were getting shit for it, so they basically left Alabasta, but they had to say goodbye to a friend. They had to say goodbye to Vivi, and Vivi is definitely another strong female character. I really enjoyed Vivi, and seeing her develop and grow as a character, I really enjoyed Vivi. And that's basically almost it. At the end, Nico Robin joins the crew, which will lead on to the Water 7 saga, and that saga was really good. I really loved that saga. So, my thoughts on the Alabasta Saga, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed Crocodile. Crocodile is an awesome Shibuka. I love his devil fruit. His devil fruit is a sand fruit, and I really enjoyed seeing him fight Luffy. It's definitely one of my favorite fights in One Piece. Besides the next saga we're going to, which is pretty insane, pretty tough, pretty severe, and that's going to wrap up this One Piece saga review. I give this saga for One Piece a solid 8.5. I really enjoyed the hell out of this saga. Definitely one of my favorite sagas. If you want to see an hour-long version of the saga, you can go watch the One Piece movie, basically describing what I just said in like in an hour. Alright? But anyway, I'll bid you adieu. And that's gonna wrap up for content for today. So I'll see what I could do for tomorrow a video. We'll have to see. But until then, I'll see you folks later. Peace.